tube up under this shield here. Hopefully, anyway. Because that's the only one I have. There it is. Okay. I need to hold on to this thing better. Here we go again. There we go. I'm going to put a little flux on. And then just heat it again. So all the solder melts, and that will just make sure it's got a really good connection. There we go. Alright, let's just double check and make sure this one is good. We should hear a beep and a beep. There we go. Okay, we have number 4 back together enough to test. I don't have all the way back together. I don't want to get thermal paste on anything. Dock. Okay. So let me push it in several times, make sure we get a good connection. Oh, black screen, come on. Yeah! So that was actually a pretty easy fix. Now, numbers 5, 6, and 7 all have no problems found. I don't see any problems at all with them. They all dock just fine. I tested that. So those ones are all good. Let's move on to number 8, which is the switch light with something stuck in the headphone jack. And number 8 is this beautiful switch light in very good condition. A few scratches, but really not too bad at all. And this is something stuck in the headphone jack. So the first thing I'm going to try is using a special tool that I've had for a while, and I got it back when iPhones had headphone jacks, which was a while ago. Theoretically, I should be able to just push this in here and then pull out what is stuck in there. Oh, that's actually not in there. I thought it was in there much tighter than that. It almost just falls out. Okay. Let's try that again. And do it upside down so maybe it'll fall out. No, not quite. Got it. There we go. The end of a headphone jack. And this one is all fixed. So that was an easy one. Let's move on to number 9. And number 9 is actually in the dock and it works fine. So that one is 10, and that is this one. So I wasn't able to replicate it, but I think what might have happened is that it just needed an update. Now I have Rocket League installed. I've fully updated this, and let's see if it will go in and play the game. All right, so here we go. It is playing the game just fine. I actually am not a Rocket League player, so I can't really actually play the game, but I don't see anything in this console that is causing an error. I honestly think it was just a matter of needing updated. So number 10 is also ready to sell. Let's move on to number 11. Number 11 is another Switch OLED that won't dock. Let's try and put it in the dock. See what happens. You don't even get a green light on the dock. There's just nothing on the dock at all. So I don't know if it's going to be the same problem as the previous one with that choke. Let's open it up and find out. All right, and we just got the board out. Turning it over. I don't see anything that looks burned. Let's get it under a microscope and take a closer look at these chips. So this is the component that was bad in the last one. And it is not bad on this one. Let's check these chokes. Good. Again, if it beeps, that means that there is a connection from one point to the other point. And those are all good. Okay, so everything there is good. So that makes me suspect probably this guy. Let's do some checking around that and see if we can find any shorts there. Nothing obvious here. It doesn't have any crazy shorts on it. But since this is the main chip that has to do with video output, I think I'm going to go ahead and replace this, especially because none of those chokes are bad. So let's get this replaced, and then we'll see if it works after that. So I have the serial number sticker taped off. I don't want to brown it too much, so hopefully this won't. I'm going to go ahead and use some hot air and heat this up until the solder melts, and then put the new chip on, let it solidify, and then we'll give it a test in the console. And there we go. That one is installed and looking great. Now it's time to give it a test. And the sticker looks untouched. All right, last screw is in. Now we can put this in the dock and see if it works. Here we go. Okay, I think I did see a green light flash. Switch has to start up. Good. Okay, let me put it in and out it several times. Okay, we do have a green light. Oh, we have a black screen. Come on. Yeah, so the switch number 11 is all fixed up. Have we fixed every one? I think we fixed every switch, but we still have one more to go. Let's take a look at number 12. And switch number 12 is the one with the Joy-Con rail issue. Let's get focused in on that. There we go. So this screw right here, actually we need to remove all of these so we can get this off. Let's get the back cover off first, and because we're going to need to unplug this Joy-Con rail from the board. Also, this one's missing a screw over here, but it is attached solidly and the Joy-Con does connect, so we don't necessarily need to do anything with this one. I'm not sure if I have an extra screw to go here. I might though. I'll have to check and see. But let's get this back cover off and see what it looks like on the inside for this Joy-Con rail. And somebody has got this apart for 1324. I don't know if that's a name, but it says rails. Yeah, we got a problem with the rails for sure. No kidding. Gotta get this metal plate off, and then we need to get down to where we can unplug this cable right here. And then we gotta see if we can get these screws out. That's gonna be the issue here. Those things look pretty stripped out. So I'm gonna finish getting these screws out, then we'll remove this plate, and we'll see what we can do about these screws. Okay, and that plate is now off.
About 600 hours.
Oh, we're missing a screw right there too. This should just pop off, and we can get this little ribbon cable out right here. Now, this rail is ready to be removed. Okay, now the hard part. This is going to be really hard for my camera to stay in focus. I apologize ahead of time. Oh, actually, that just moved. Come on. Okay, let's try a slightly bigger bit. It's like turning. Okay, so it is turning a little bit, but I just can't get a very good grip on it. So we're going to use some pliers and keep it turning, hopefully. Yeah. So this wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, which is really nice. Sometimes these can be a real pain. This one's actually coming out okay. Okay, that one's out. Now the next problem is going to be whether this screw, oh, this screw isn't stripped either. All right, yes. Okay. This rail up, and we can install this rail, which is from a different side. Okay. We can install this one. Okay, that one. And I was able to find another top screw here on a different switch. These top screws are unique, so, oh, that is broken out. No, I guess it's okay. Okay. So that one's in. Now I want to go with one more, and I think I have one more of these screws too. And now with this Joy-Con rail installed, we just need to get this ribbon cable down to the connector. There we go. Locking tab. Locked. Okay, and there we go. All right, number 12. We got it all back together. Let's put the Joy-Cons on the rails. That one snaps in nicely. And this one we couldn't even start up because it didn't sense the Joy-Con. So let's see if it'll let us start it up. Connected to the internet. Everything's good so far. Later. Okay. So we'll release Joy-Con. It sensed that. And it sensed that. Okay. Now that one and that one. Okay, let's just test buttons. Make sure all the buttons are working and everything is getting sensed properly. Okay, good so far. Let's calibrate control sticks. Make sure they work. Okay, good. Back. These control sticks actually are in really good condition. Okay, so I think that's about it. Oh, let's test the game slot. That could be a problem for sure. And there we go. So number 12, even though it's not in quite as good of condition as some of the others, is totally working. And that means we're able to fix all 12 of these Nintendo Switches, and we should be able to make some good money on them. And now if we take a look at the numbers, these are the numbers. We got 4 Switch Lites at $100 each for $400. The original Switch with Joy-Cons we can sell for about $300. The original Switches with everything, we got 2 of those for $300. A tablet only OLED for $180. 2 OLEDs with everything for a total of $400 for those. For a grand total of $1,580. That is the likely price that we can get for these used. And again, these are kind of like the low end, so there's a good chance it could be decently higher than this. But we also did have to buy some parts. I mean, buy some parts. I had these in stock, but I put about $100 in parts. We had some analog sticks and a couple chips that we replaced, and 2 USB-C ports, along with some screws and some other stuff. So I just put $100 for that. There's a good chance it's quite a bit less, but I figured we can just put $100 on it. So then that brings us down to $1,480, but also the price of the entire lot was $815. So that leaves us with a grand total potential profit, likely profit, of $665. This was for sure one of the best lots I've bought in quite a while, but I did buy another Nintendo Switch box of customer returns a little while back, and if you like this video, you'll probably like that one too, so I'll put a link to that video up on your screen now, so you can come hang out with me over there and see how much of a profit I was able to make.
Yeah, I just done the bricks. I just done the bricks on this truck. I'm not trying to pull. Let when the guy come in here soon, sounds like he's outside. He gonna pull that shit right now for himself. I think I hear the truck. Let me open the door, see.
This video is sponsored by Morning Brew. I bought 8 on these. I can already tell just by
there we go again.
Let's take a look at each one and see what's wrong.
He's there. He's there. Well, I got my work to do. This is what I'm good at. This is what I do. So I'm not a lawnmower specialist, but we just go into by theory. So
they are now.
Yeah.
Apparently, I bought this blue controller from a fan of the channel, so thanks, MJ. We'll save it till last. Let's start with some of the black ones. So here's all 8 of the controllers. I can already see a couple of them have some stick issues. Who knows if that's the only issue? But let's start with this black controller. I'm going to plug it into a gamepad tester and see what issues we find. And we're starting out great. Controller number 1, I see no problems with at all. I will get an Xbox Series X up here and connect to this controller to test it.
You bring nobody to pull?
We're starting out great. Let's move on to controller
number 2.
And controller number 2 is one with a broken thumbstick, so I'll have to take that apart and see what's going on there. But I do want to test all the other buttons while I'm at it. Now, controller number 3. Controller number 3 has a whole bunch of sticky buttons, all the ABXY. Also, the bumpers and triggers are all sticky. So that's going to require me to take it apart and probably do a whole lot of... That's the exact same thing on number 7. That's the exact same thing on number 7.
Which water, everything, axle, everything changing.
Okay, and there we go. We finally got some verifiable stick drift on
You been
number 8.
axle? You been axle?
And the right stick drift is the only problem I see on number 8. Now that I've got an idea of what's wrong with some of these, it's time to get them apart. But before I do that, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Morning Brew. Morning Brew is a free Monday through Sunday daily newsletter. Before I subscribe to Morning Brew, I didn't spend too much time just randomly scrolling my phone looking at whatever news stories came up. But Morning Brew gets me up to speed on business news in just 5 minutes. It's not like the dry, dense, and boring news that you're used to. Morning Brew is really relevant and informative. Morning Brew is how I love to
check it out because
and just today I learned about how
the igniter they got, because they pull it and it run 5 minutes and then die down. So you have to see what's going on now. I take out the carburetor and all kind of thing. You even turn that thing backwards. A piece of thing going inside of it.
Right now and sign up today. Morning Brew is my favorite way to get my news, and
you had upside
you're
down.
gonna love it too. Now let's
Which
get back
really
to
meant no
fixing
big
these
deal,
Xbox
but
Series X controllers. Since we haven't found any problems with number 1 yet, we're going to start with number 2. It has this broken right stick. It's also got a piece rattling around in there. So let's find out what that is.
When you hear it start to go kind of way, you turn in the choke. We can get energy for that today?
I don't know.
Yeah, you have to play that. When you hear it start to change different, turn it again. So you have to pull hard, and we pull real hard, like a full length.
And here's the piece rattling around. Right there. We've also got a plastic piece stuck here.
You tired already? I think you still can bring them out to pull.
And I got this circuit. Look, this must have gone, you know.
This thumbstick cap.
I got this circuit this time.
Well, what's that you?
Piece that protrudes.
And tomorrow I'm going to do my thing tomorrow
It's actually
too.
been totally destroyed out of this thumbstick. Now with that thumbstick out though,
Oh, I call the
any
exhaust piece there.
permanent damage
By the side of the
to
exhaust.
the analog stick itself. By the way, I did ask a question, when the analog stick is stuck over like that, is that normal? And yes it is. That's totally normal. Happens in every direction. Ooh, we might have a problem there. Feels like maybe there's something stuck inside there. Anyways, that's totally normal. Once you put the thumbsticks back on and then get this top
Boy,
stuff
you
on,
will say straight gas.
then they can't do that
People them
anymore.
tell me online.
So
You have to
there's
mix the
definitely a
gas.
problem in here.
It's
Get
too
it
stroke.
stuck right there.
So, how do you want me running that? He been running that.
Figure out why.
I don't think so, not with the smell burn up.
He probably burned out because that run so without gas, he can burn it out.
Down.
Yeah, with the smell burning.
Yes. Yeah?
Yeah, like you get it started.
You can hear it's just
You get started because you mix with gas and try you think it that too stroke engine.
grinding against it. I'm not sure
If
what's
it's not too
going on
stroke, you
there.
could use
I'm not
oil.
sure
You
whether
get old
something's
engine for get oil.
falling or whether it's just been damaged. But look
So
at this.
we did on the wrong direction all the time.
I mean, something's probably damaged in there because somebody was really hard on it. I was hoping to not have to replace this, but I just might have to. So the thing we're going to do now is remove this from the board, then I'll take it apart so we can see exactly what's
Yeah,
going
great
on.
thing gonna be running.
Anyone
Run.
else? And
5 minutes.
Soldering gun. It's basically got a vacuum pump built in, and this tip gets very hot, so I'll melt the solder with the tip, then press the button, and it'll suck the wet solder up into the vacuum gun.
That means like just the camera. That means just the camera.
No.
So I've removed this small board from the rest of the controller, and I've desoldered all the mounting pins on this analog stick. So now we just need to pull it off the board, and then we'll take it apart and see what exactly is going on with it. So now we just need to get this piece apart, and this, I'm not doing this in order to try and fix this analog stick. I'm doing this so we can figure out what exactly went wrong, and then I will install a new one.
Did it come
I
from you?
am curious on this
Person
one.
over
This is actually good that I'm replacing it. You
Okay.
can see there's a crack all the way through it. So it's a good thing I didn't try to just put this one back together and test it, because it definitely does need to be totally replaced. Wow, this is definitely not coming apart how I thought it would. It's just
Maybe
kind
that
of
should
coming
run.
apart in pieces.
She run
So
well.
it's just all
5 minutes.
busted up. Now this little piece right here might have broken off of that, but it
You
also
move
could
for
have
side
been
wall?
inside here.
Yeah,
Probably
you
not
want-
going to be any way that we're going to actually figure out what exactly was causing that problem on it.
Poke
But
on
it's
the
going to be
muffler.
interesting to see the inside of this one.
Poke on this muffler tip there. By the
And
side,
there
the
we
other
have
side.
it. That is what the very
And I get it right to the
inside
tools
of
right now.
it looks like.
Start to take out the muffler.
And you can actually now see what the problem with it was. If you look on this side,
Did
this
you ask
piece
if it
is
took?
just kind of
Yeah, fuzzy
sitting
mesh.
down inside there, kind of flush with this white piece right here. This one
Yeah,
is
clean out the
sticking
mesh.
out.
Can't take out the muffler for think,
Okay.
see if it make a difference. Like
There we
sometimes the
go.
muffler in black
That
up now.
is the cause of our problem. So I'm glad that you figure out the exact cause of this problem. That's always fun. But now it's time to get this one fixed, and I'm going to do that by installing a new analog stick. Then I'll put it back together and test it. Also, this is why you need to be careful with
This
this
thing
on
right
stick.
here.
Yeah,
And this gasket.
yeah. I take out and see if it's black up now, because sometimes if it's in choke, it has to be said. If gas coming and spark coming, there has to be some airflow. Black up.
This soldering looks decent. Definitely could be better. But I think that's going to work. Let's check the analog stick. Okay, I think that's going to work pretty well. Now I'm going to get it put back together.
Yeah,
so
good
we
for
can
that
test
one
it.
down here, Robert.
They will reply to me. Once you have 50 last week. But not backpack, no, just a one in the hand.
Now, I
See
still
what
use
cover it
this
does.
thumbstick. I don't have an extra one of these right now, but I know this one's good. So I'm going to test this one and make sure that's good. Then we'll move on to the next controller, assuming that it works. So let's check that now. Okay, show us some good news. Okay, the left stick and the right stick. And that is great news. Controller number 2 is fully fixed. Now let's move on to controller number 3, the one with sticky buttons. So basically, all these buttons are super sticky. I'm a little afraid about what I'm going to find inside this one, but let's take it apart and see how bad it is. Okay, that's pretty gross. I've definitely seen worse. Yeah, all of this is just super sticky. This is going to be a long clean. There's just so much. Get it apart the rest of the way and check
That's
out
right,
the
you-
board on it and
You gotta
see
get
how
that
bad
down
that
there.
Yeah, the man, he's behind me yesterday.
That's just sticky even pulling it up. Okay, I got some sticky stuff on here, which I expect. Let's check this side. Okay. I feel like everything I look at is not as bad as I expect, so far at least. But we know the buttons are sticky, so we need to remove this board and this lower board as well. We have all the screws out. Let's get this board out of here. I'm going to remove this. I always forget about this piece. Now we can get this board out much easier. Yep, the entire button pad just sticks right to the board. Yeah, this one needs to be cleaned. Not as bad as I thought it would be so far. And that's definitely pretty sticky. You can see when I get it in the right light, there's just
No, I can't
parts
find
of
it.
stickiness all over this
You're not
board.
putting it-
Now the buttons,
No,
these
that's
are
the- how right
definitely
there.
very sticky.
They come in and they do the bearings and all kind of thing.
It doesn't take much on these because there's not a lot of clearance between the side of the button and the side of the shell. So if that gets sticky there, it's gonna just cause major problems.
You have to get a heavy hammer for that, though.
Okay, and here we go. This is kind of the base shell of the controller. This is going to be almost like a total controller rebuild, except for just total controller cleaning. So I'm going to go through with Q-tips and just clean all of the stickiness off of this. Then I'll put each piece back in one by one as I clean them. And by the time we're done, we should have a nice, clean controller.
Oh, but you have hammer right here, somebody.
Isopropyl alcohol for
Yeah.
this.
I know.
I don't know, boy. When they get older,
Some
one.
of the stuff that's really sticky, I'm going to go through and just soak it in the ice. And then when I come back to wipe it off, it'll kind of
I don't think no bricks there on this, because
and that'll just make it come off a lot easier.
it won't just spin.
And I guess it's time for you
We gotta hit it
to
again.
do your cleaning, guys.
Alvin calling me. Yes, I do 4 bricks with the same truck yesterday.
Mhm.
Same that drum. Put them up there. They're almost finished.
Okay. and
Alvin
now
called me and
it's
tell him I
all
forgot boy, I got work for do. He did up on the porch. He's crazy.
Nice and crispy. That's what it should feel like.
Huh?
Even though it doesn't look any different on the outside, it is working great on the inside now. But we still need to touch the buttons on the game adapter, so check that out. And now all of these buttons are working great. So number 3 is fixed. Number 4 has
Move.
no problems that
You
I
have
can
to
find
move.
so far. So let's move on to number
And that's
5.
it.
There with number 5.
We ain't giving up.
Broken right thumbstick. Let's see this one has the same problem as number 2. That's probably not ideal. Let's see what the broken pieces are in this one. Okay, so this piece came out already. So it looks like you have the same problem. That piece has been broken out of the inside of this thumbstick. So let's check and see how the analog stick is that's mounted on the board. Oh, here's the other piece. It is the analog stick broken.
We got to
Oh,
pull boy.
maybe not. This one actually
We ain't giving up.
feels really good. And just looking at it under here, I don't see any cracks or broken pieces.
Somebody said he had work for do.
Analog stick
Boy, you have to pull today, boy.
So this one's
You have to
just
pull to the start.
thumbstick. And like I said before, I don't
She
have
go start.
any replacements for those, but once I do, that's just a matter of plugging it right in and then putting it back together. So number 5 was the stick. Let's move on to number 8, as number 6 and 7. Also, I found no problems with those. And for number 8, this right stick is dripping. When we get the part, first I'm going to try cleaning it, and if that fixes it, we'll call it good. If not, we'll have to repair the analog stick. And this one has been taken apart for let's see what the inside has been messed with.
Very
Let's
nice.
see what MJ tried to do with this one. So this is the analog stick that's causing the problem. You guys have seen me use this CW100 electronic contact cleaner. This video is not sponsored by them, but I do like to use it because it is pressurized, and with the straw, you can just get right down into where it needs to go to clean these analog stick potentiometers.
We have to pull hard
And now with the clean, let's plug it in.
until they hear some change.
And as you can see here, that definitely didn't fix it, so we're going to need to at least replace the potentiometer. So let's get doing that next, and hopefully that's all we need to do on this one. So this analog stick drifts up, so that means this potentiometer right here is going to be the one that deals with the up and down axis. So that's the one that I need to replace. I just like to mark it so I don't get confused when I'm actually in there doing the repair. I'm going to get these joints right here desoldered. Then I'll remove this board so we can get easier access to this potentiometer. Then I'll put the new one in and resolder the joints.
You need to careful with that. You need to do it.
Okay, and let's see if we can
Look at,
figure out why we
current
couldn't
thing I
get this
did
one just
along-
cleaning.
What's
And
that?
I don't know how well it shows on camera,
It's not
but
sound. Take it
right here, this contact and this contact, actually all the contacts are just plain
Yeah, focus
out.
on something
So
else.
now it's
Huh?
time to install a new
Yeah, with this?
potentiometer. I'm just going to steal the
No,
potentiometer
right.
off of this analog stick. That way,
Yeah, look up
instead of
for some,
replacing the analog stick, I can get
Body side up.
2 repairs out of one of these because I can use this potentiometer for 1 repair, and I've already used this one for another repair. There's a little clip right here, and a
See
little
that?
clip right here.
Let me see what a little thing is that one. That one. Let me see that one there. This one got a hook on it.
And there we go. So now I'm going to slip this analog stick in those holes.
It's too long.
There we go. Then I need to make sure it connects with this little white piece down in here. And there we go. Now I just need to solder those 3 pins on down there, and we'll be ready to test it. Yeah, there we go. That looks about like the perfect amount of
You should
solder.
have pulled
Now
some
let's
hard
put it
with
back together.
Yeah, pull hard.
So we got it all back together. Let's
You
give it a
came
test.
in?
Yeah.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Number 8 is working
I
great.
do that,
Thumb
change by the
stick
coil,
is
everything, and I
completely
put any
fixed.
one, and then
All
start.
the other buttons are working. So now let's check out
Actually,
the
run
other
for 5 minutes,
controllers that showed no
high
problems when we
speed.
tested it
But
without
when I
the
try to
console.
adjust,
Let's plug them
it
into the
just
console and test them all and see if there's any problems with those. So the only problem I found with all of those controllers is controller number 1 has a faulty A button. When I was testing it the first time, I missed that it's not showing up when I press A. So let's get number 1 taken apart and see what's going on with that one. So this bottom button right here is the one we're looking at. There's no problem with the button itself that I see.
I said, bring one of them boys to pull
No
up.
problem with the button pad itself. That all seems fine. So then we're left with the board. And this would be the A button right down here. I don't immediately see any problems with it. One of the tests I want to do before we get too carried away is just jump the 2 sides of this button pad on the board and see if that will show on the screen right here. I'm just going to be using a metal pick to try and jump those 2 sides and connect them and see if that will make it register up on the screen.
So that was on, right? Up is on.
Okay, and I think if you look
No, it's just a
carefully,
choke. It ain't gonna on and off.
there
You
we
just
go.
have to just set it
Okay,
right.
so
Once
that
it start
shows
to
when those
make
2
a difference,
sides
song you blow the
are
choke. You have to play with
connected,
it up and down.
doesn't actually show up. So we got to figure out why it's showing up with my metal pick, but it's not showing up with the button pad. First thing I'm going to do is actually start cleaning it. Maybe there's some residue that got on the contact and that's causing the problem. But that's what I'm going to try first and see if that'll fix it. So I'm just going to use some isopropyl alcohol, clean those contacts up. Now this is how the button pads go.
Let's see if somebody can pull the boy. That's plenty work on it.
They really just need a little bit of cleaning. I'm gonna
Let's
get
see what
back
perimeter
together
again.
and
See
we'll
some
see
gas in
what
there.
it
Let me
works.
flood it.
Here we go. B, Y, X, and A. Yeah! So number 1 is now fixed. If you like this video, you'll probably like the video where I bought a bunch of PS5 DualSense controllers and basically did the same thing, tried to fix them. If you'd like to see that video, I'll put a link up on the screen. You can come hang out with me and see if I can fix those ones. Thank you to Morning Brew for sponsoring this video. Once again, I'll put a link down in the description if you'd like to subscribe to Morning Brew. All of these 8 Xbox Series X controllers either didn't have a problem or are now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one. Thank you to iFixit for sponsoring this video. I paid $1,750 for 25 Xbox Elite controllers. Now it's time to diagnose them and figure out what's wrong and see if I can fix them. But first of all, I'd like to thank iFixit for providing tools and parts to me, as well as sponsoring these videos. They've been enabling my bad purchases for months now, and they've been providing you with coupon codes so you can get discounts on all your tools and supplies. If you want to get your discount of $10 off $50 or more, go to ifixit.com/Tronic6. Now let's get these controllers diagnosed. So I'm going to test each one of these controllers so I know exactly what's wrong with them, and also I know what parts to buy and what all needs to be fixed. Let's take a look at the first controller. Okay, and this one actually has all of the accessories, which is great. And first thing I notice is this is very obviously broken off right here. So we got one of the shoulder buttons is broken, but there could be other things wrong as well. So I'm going to give this a test, see what all's wrong.
So your choco axle?
The boot on it works.
Yeah, well, you give me money and let me just take the boot out of the hole and then put panel on it and grease it back and build it back. The axle is $189.
So I'm going to go through and do that process for all the rest of the controllers.
You get boot. If one boot in, but you strip the one down and you change the boot and it will be less than 180. That's a good deal.
Oh Lord, so I don't know what you do.
Don't give up no man.
You know, pour some clean filter and then you block.
Put gas in there and pour a little bit and you can't get gas up there with a boost. Like a suck.
So I'm now halfway done testing and diagnosing them, and I can say this is going to be a big job. Most of them have at least 2 issues, some of them have 3, and that's just out of the things I've tested. I haven't tested the buttons on the very bottom, as I want to get all of the main buttons tested and repaired first. One of the problems that I knew I was going to have with these controllers is that parts are hard to find and actually extremely expensive. So unfortunately,
they have weak ones.
I knew that going into it, and I was the idea of fixing these anyway and keeping them from going right into the
Hold on, Gary calling me.
buy them, but I'm going to skip any of the ones that need the LB or RB buy them, but I'm going to skip any of the ones that need the LB or RB buttons and do all the rest that don't need those. For number 4, we've got a rumble motor that's weak. The analog stick is not registering when pressing down on the left stick.
You mix it stubborn.
Yeah, just a minute.
You mix the gas with
I put the oil in a little bit.
you put the oil on it too.
Using
Yeah.
a T9 bit
Then oil in
to remove these screws.
Did the oil gas oil you put in?
Yeah, I don't put a little bit in it.
And I don't see any
But no, we put it in this
so
one.
far.
Can I put it in there?
Is
And I put that for mix with the gas.
as well as this rumble motor.
Can I throw it on the engine?
Next, I'm going to remove this smaller board so we can inspect this other board. And this screw size is a T6.
That's it, you can throw a little bit down in there, not too much to flood it.
Okay, I actually don't see any issues at all. Let me zoom in here for you. So it's this analog stick. This button is not registering when I press it. And then also this rumble motor here. So when I press this button, we can test this rumble motor. And you can see it just doesn't go that fast, especially when we compare it to the other side. See that goes way faster. So I've got an extra rumble motor here. I'm going to try and replace this rumble motor with this known good working rumble motor just to see if it is the motor itself. I don't think it is, but it's worth a try just to see if that fixes it.
But I tell you, I forget energy for that. Till I pull that. And I just.
Now I'll press this button again and see if this motor works any better.
No, well, you prime it, the ball full in.
Basically exactly the same. I'm actually
Check
going
the
to
prime ball
use
to be
number
full.
5. This one has a left analog stick problem. The RB button is broken. And this one, the right vibrator motor is weak. So this should be an interesting test. I'm going to take the board out of this Xbox One and put it into number 4 and see what changes. The board is from the left as the right one not working properly. So let's check the left one on this one. Here we go.
Clear the choke, clear the choke. Clear the choke.
Slow. This was controller number 6. I had to take yet another controller out because the rumble motor in number 5 actually went about the same speed as number 4. But I think I have it figured out what's going on. So watch the rumble motor in number 6 when I press this button. You can see about the speed it goes, but also notice another thing. This vibrator motor inside the button also works very well. Should be able to hear that through the microphone. Now let me hook up number 4. Now remember number 4.
Look at that tired me out tonight. I get one hard pull.
So
Like that.
And you can see that it
You want
spins
for 5
about the
minutes?
same speed as number 6. But the one thing that number 4 does not do is this little vibrator motor here does not spin at all. You should be able to hear that there's no vibration coming from this motor. When I took apart number 5 to use parts off of, I noticed
the
that
camera
number
today ain't
5
good.
also had a rumble motor.
Unless we sell it back
about
by
the same
Amazon,
speed
sell
as
it, sell
number
it if I
4.
want.
So that's why I had to take apart number 6. And I think
That
the
way it should
problem
be
is
good now.
actually
Should
this
be,
little
but
vibrator motor. It just
where
tricked
else
me
could
when
it be
I was
again?
testing it. I didn't feel the vibration from this, and that kind of tricked my mind into
Somebody
thinking
tell me
this
online the
rumble motor itself
Amazon
was
parts
spinning
carburetor
like
maybe
this.
not good, but I
So
see a
now
man
I'm
buy
gonna
one online and
replace
put
this
it
motor
to
here,
on YouTube
then we'll
and
get
start it
to
right away.
the analog stick issue, and then we'll test it all and see if we got it figured out. So what I'm going to do is actually connect the vibrator motor from this controller and connect it to this board to see if that makes the vibrator motor work on this controller. And if it does, then that
After I finish
confirms
shooting
that
that thing,
it is
everything
something
it
either in the
start.
wire or the actual vibrator motor itself. So now when I touch this magnet to this component right here, this vibrator motor is spin. Let's see if it does. And it does. That tells me most likely it's faulty, so I'm So this vibrator motor, and I already found the problem. So if I would have been looking closer, I would have found that this vibrator motor.
You wanna make sure to start here first, boy?
And that's the only problem with this
I can't
one.
get that one.
Don't make him bring the man for you.
Use it for parts if needed, but it just goes to show.
Let me try pull it again, boy. Can I pull it straight?
So
I try this one. And then I go right down. Brrr. Run for 5 minutes.
Button pushing. But unfortunately, it doesn't.
I see why we could send the carburetor and get another one.
Different board into this controller. It registers just fine. That tells me that this
You
analog.
think nothing wrong with the carburetor? I'll let me new parts in
Unfortunately,
there.
there's not really a great way to clean this type of button, and I can't just replace the button itself because it's so integrated into this analog stick. So I just have to replace the whole analog stick.
I don't know,
So I'm
because
gonna
this
do
one
that
here,
next. Now I'm going to
come
keep
on to
all
mine.
these solder joints up at once with
I
my
did.
hot air station to let this
I
old
change my
analog
own
stick
and I
drop
have to
out
do
the
something
bottom.
and I
There's
start.
several ways you can install the new stick. One of them is to just keep all the solder joints liquid and then push up the new analog stick through the holes. One of the
They got
difficulties
this from the
on that is
carburetor,
that all of
this
this solder has to be liquid all
Yeah,
at the
just
same
screw
time,
it.
and
So
all
I
of
think you have
these
to put that
solder
screw
joints
in.
have to
One
line up
screw.
with the holes in the
Oh,
motor.
that is.
Now, if you watch,
I think one is supposed to put gas, put get more gas and less gas. Out
that
is
can work fine if you get
less
some
gas,
practice
in is more
and
gas.
get
So you have to
better.
play
I'm gonna
that.
show you another way to do it where I keep the solder melted one hole
Yeah,
at
we'll
a
try
time and use the
adjust
solder
that somehow
sucker to clear out the
and
hole.
see.
And then I will push up this analog stick through the holes
Only
and
one more or less?
solder each joint. These just help
In
keep my
is
hands protect a little bit from the heat.
And out is less. But when I get started yesterday, I played it all out. So I shouldn't even touch it. I should try and get stopped at the same how it start. Yes, you would. But somebody telling me if I mix the gas.
You mix it?
Yeah, put a little bit of it. So little.
Now I
You
can
need some more
make sure this analog stick is lined up correctly.
If it starts to get too much, it can smoke.
All the pins
I
up
want
through the
smoke for
holes.
now.
Looks
Well,
like
we
I
have to
still
start
got a little
first.
bit of solder right down there in that joint, and that's causing it to not come up. And now all the solder is cleared out of all the holes. I can push this new analog stick up the holes. You want to make sure that it is aligned nice and flat on the board, which this one is. So now I can solder all the joints on the bottom of the board. And there we go. How's it look? All of these little joints are all soldered on correctly, nice and shiny. I did fix this joint. I don't see any other problems here, so I think now it's time to put it back in the controller.
You gotta just keep pulling on one.
Got this together. And
The exercise good for you now. I do so, let's say, watch me. I hold it and I go right out, so,
Okay.
and then here. I say, yeah, the fucker started. But just something we in.
And they also.
Now we're not a professional here, you so we just.
All the other functions work fine.
Can change carburetor, change the coil. They tell nothing else.
Controller number 4 is.
And it start because that's why I put out the coil cover. Yeah, I can't work. You have to get work in this more than
She was starting.
Eh?
I got good compression too.
You get good compression, it should start like that.
So I'm not going to show those same fixes or assembling it in the other controllers, but I will show how to fix all the new issues in the rest of the 24 Xbox Elite controller. Number 7, I have the X button that's clear. Just want to get it all taken apart and see what's going on with the X button. The button pad itself looks good. There are no tears anywhere, and it is nice and springy, so don't think the problem is there. And there's the problem. We got some sticky stuff on. Clean this button off, and then clean off the inside where the button slides
We
through.
can't give up.
And then this controller will be fixed. Controller is now done. All the buttons have a nice springy feel like they should. So now let's move on to the next controller. Controller 11 has a right analog stick that grips
I'm
up.
back.
One of the things we might be able to do with it is just clean it. I'm going to show you guys how to do that next, and we'll see if it actually works. We want to get this one taken apart.
Well, that chain outside there for turn on the truck.
If you watch this part when I move the analog stick, you'll see that it moves just like that. That's
Yeah,
because
man,
inside of this
$50 for
booster
that,
is what's called a
50.
potentiometer, and that little potentiometer inside there can get dirty and gunked up, and sometimes just
Watch
so
this,
what we're gonna do is we'll move the clip over here, and we'll move the clip over here, and slide this potentiometer piece out, so you can get a look in there, clean it all up, and then do the same on this side right here. Now with that piece pried off, I can remove this piece, just like that. So this shows the inside piece of the potentiometer. There's a little indent right here. That contacts the inside ring on this part of the analog stick down here. I need to clean all those up, and I need to clean these rings up on this part, and
You said it was boss.
then we'll put it back together and see if that actually
I'm pretty sure the last one was
it
right.
doesn't have any pieces like a cotton one would. Just to make sure that none of the pieces get stuck inside this ring.
So you want about it? Daddy will do more because it's again more.
Now with this cleaned off, and the rings inside the analog stick cleaned off, I can put this one back together and then clean this side.
And then the coupling is between the shaft. This piece of shaft to extend this. Whichever side.
Okay, now both of those potentiometers have been cleaned. Let's get it hooked up to my computer and see if that fixed it. And unfortunately, it did not fix the issue. So sometimes that's a method that can work, but in this case, it did not. So I'll be replacing that joystick along with this other joystick as well, as they do. So let me get that done off. Let's move on to the next controller.
You're giving up too fast.
The next controller, I do want to show you why sometimes you can see right here these marks on this back. These pieces of metal rise.
She pull in. Pull, she pull in.
You'll also notice these marks right here and right
You
here.
prime it?
That corresponds with this metal piece and that metal piece. So looking at these marks on the black tracks, you can just see how the black part is just worn down. There's pretty deep grooves on here and right on here, and that's right where these metal pieces rise. So unfortunately, there's not enough good contact there for the analog stick to register which way you want your character to go. So that's why sometimes cleaning is so I was going to replace this in number 11, but given that there's a lot of good parts on number 11, I'm also going to use that as a parts controller, so I can use things like the LB and RB buttons on a different controller. So number 11 is also going to be used for parts, so let's move on to number 12. So with LB button sticks, let's just verify that real quick.
You going back good by shit?
There's no clicking sound. You can see the RB clicks fine and moves fine, the LB is stuck. So I'm going to take it apart so we can take a look and see if it is a problem with this part or the button itself. And I do want to know if you don't want to use your fingernails to get in there, that can be pretty hard on your fingers. So if you don't want to do that, you can get a plastic pry tool and just pry.
Somebody's trying to pull over.
It is a little piece of plastic.
Yeah?
Let's fix that right now.
Well, think they're easy to pull.
And there we go. Fixed. Number 14 only has cosmetic problems. It's got bad grips. Luckily, we have two controllers that we're using for parts, so I'm going to use one of the grips off of those to repair number 14. Much better. Now that 14's done, let's move on to number 15. Number 15, the left analog stick and LB button. You already know what we're going to do with that. Gonna save that later. Number 16 has a bad LB button. Now that I think of it, I'm going to
work, man.
Yes.
Yesterday. Who do that you?
Yeah, so I tell you, that'll get up to my neck sometime.
Then test to make sure that the buttons are working correctly. Green button is installed.
You got a machine here for anyway.
These clips are on the back of the charge port. Everything looks good. Charge port's aligned. Now, this one's done. I can put it back together and move on to number 17. So for number 17, the left analog stick drift, I'm going to try just replacing the potentiometer itself, which only requires 3 solder joints to be removed and then soldered back on. So I did just mark right here to make sure I didn't get confused which one I needed to replace. So I'm going to flip this over and remove the solder on the 3 joints that hold it on. And slip a new one in and solder it down.
Plus the heating okay, is the oven on for Carl today.
Oh.
Now we have most of the solder out of the joints. I'm gonna wiggle this around.
Now you
and
drive it from
should
this
be
side?
able to get it pulled out.
Huh?
May you drive it on this side?
And there we go.
You know what we do? Oh, because you're not the room here.
So
Back
that
my
is
truck
the
like this.
faulty
No,
potentiometer.
if I come in, that's
Now
coming
I'm
somewhat.
going to put a
Since
new
I had
one
the thing
in,
there, I
get it
want
soldered
to
in,
finish
and
You
then
can
moving
move
them
them.
thing.
let's see
Yeah?
if that fixes it. Now also, if
You
you
can
look
move
right
them.
down here, you can see
No,
there's
I'll
some
make sure
sticky gunk right
Everything
on
fixing for a move.
this pin where the potentiometer goes through, and also sticky gunk along right where the potentiometer rests. And if you look inside the potentiometer itself, you can see the gunk filled up right on that inner ring. So I need to clean that off. And here is the new one. So I need to go in these holes carefully. Okay, and the new potentiometer has been fitted. So now all I have to do is solder it back on, and then we can test it and see if that method works.
You're good, man.
I'm going to take out the axle now, so I can go on that.
Oh,
And here we have both of the analog sticks. The right one is working well as
you
usual.
want this?
The left one
You want that?
Yeah.
has zero drift. So that method definitely works. So it's just another way if you're having a problem, especially if you're having a problem only one axis, that means you can just go in and replace that one specific potentiometer, and you don't have to do the entire analog stick. I don't know you, but I'm tired of talking about analog sticks. I'm not going to show it on camera. I'm not going to show any more in this video. I'm just going to show the new things that we haven't looked at. 18, 19, 20 have LB button problems as well as analog stick problems, so I'm going to save those for when I get the LB and RB buttons in stock. Let's move on to 21. 21 and 22 both have left analog stick problems. Let's move on to number 23. Number 23 won't connect to my testing software and keeps disconnecting from my computer. We finally got a new problem, so let's take a close look at this and see what's going on. And I'm going to take a wild guess that this is at least part of the problem.
So it's coming
here
in
we
and
have
fixing
that
any
same
too?
chip that had
Hmm?
liquid
We're gonna
damage.
start fixing them too?
And
Well, you should do it
look
before the mechanic.
closely,
What that?
there are three pads, this one, and this one,
Now, even up.
that basically have solder on
Keep
them.
that video,
At least
VCR.
that's very visible.
Yeah, back up.
This solder over here is pretty good. This component
So,
right
but if you
here
have any parts in
is actually loose on the
vehicle, you
board.
can fix it. See if you can fix
See
that. I have blue fuse, blue capacitor, and thing you could replace.
I'm going to clean it up with a toothbrush, then put some flux on it. See if we can get enough solder on these joints to feel good about them. Hopefully we don't have to replace this chip, but if we do, so that's what I'm going to do next.
Look how easy that. You got beat off my tail.
Well,
You know, yeah.
watch how easy he putting on them parts there.
Use the water.
Flux. Side of flow, better flux. I never see that yet, did it?
So
I know
that
people do
piece
that dry,
just came
but keep
off
doing that
of
wet
this
down the
circuit
flux
right
and
here was the
when you put the
main
hat
connector
on,
of
the
this
side
capacitor.
of,
So
like it going to
unfortunately,
the-
this capacitor will
to
not work.
the thing.
So I will take a capacitor off of one of these other parts controllers I have over here and install it onto this one.
Oh, you taking off that?
Yeah.
I ain't making it off.
But because he the axle like new still.
You see this?
Why the man say you need to change the axle?
So not the prettiest soldering job, but it is a strong one. So this one should be all
See my
fixed
boss
and it's
notes?
ready to put back in and test. Oh, it's still not showing it's connected in my software though. So this is the good board that I removed this capacitor from. If we look
The man say
closely,
change them.
into the capacitor is
People
connected
answer.
right here, and it's connected over to this pin.
Special people see the water change.
So this is all one trace. When I look at the capacitor on the faulty board, I see that the trace is broken right here. And there's no connection from here over to here. So I believe this is the most likely
Okay,
cause of the
damage.
problem. So we need to
But
create
it
a
was-
connection from
works.
here over to
No,
here.
just
To do that, I'm going to be using
I like
a
log in,
wiring pencil. You
sync.
can actually find these on my website, electronicsfixstore.com. This is basically a pencil with a spool of wire at one end that goes down through the shaft of the pencil, and then it comes down here, and it just makes working with the wire much easier and faster. So I'm going to attach the wire over here, and then also attach the wire over onto this trace. This wiring pencil does have enameled wire, which means there is a coating on the wire. So you need to remove that coating in order for it to stick to the solder.
I can take out the oxide there. It's all take out the arm.
That's how easy and quick it is to do this type of repair with that wiring pencil. Now that this circuit has been restored, it's time to clean it up, test it, and see if it works. Okay, and it is actually recognized by my computer now.
Never take out
And
the
there we
never
go,
change
we can actually
guy.
test it, so that seems to have fixed the problem. Oh no, this is no
6
good.
years.
So unfortunately,
You want
this
to ride like that?
part that I
I got
bought
one, man. Forget.
is defective. I have fixed a total of 15 and I've used 3 for parts. Unfortunately, I don't have any more parts here to repair these right now, so I'll have to fix the other 7 off camera, but I am going to end this video now or else it's just going to get too long. Be sure to check out ifixit.com/TronicsFix if you'd like to get $10 off your order of $50 or more. Thank you again to iFixit for sponsoring this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good one.
Yeah, don't give up, come on, do great stuff.
We ended up at 1, 6, and 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 5. We don't know yet. I'm going to test that motherboard in the next one that we find that has a motherboard that's not fixable. So to start off today, let's look at number 6. So let's see what happens when we try to charge it. We just did 0. Nothing going on there. Okay, 0 amps charging on the charger. What's your guess as to what's wrong? I've seen the cause it. I've seen the charge chip cause it. And that might be all. So it's probably one of those things. Hopefully it's not liquid damage. We've already had enough of that. But at least we've mostly fixed the liquid damage. Let's get the back off and see what do we have. Good news, no liquid damage at least down here.
Give my boy. Rest of the bit more.
Alright, disconnect the battery, and then we'll do a little bit of testing. Let's check the fuse first. Fuse is good. This coil right here I've seen to be bad. That coil's good.
So I say it's a full harder.
Alright, so we've got
Keep going bigger.
capacitor shorted. Normally what I find is this
Just
chip
keep
is
pulling.
bad when this capacitor
Try
is
get one. People don't want to see.
Zoom in on this so you can see it a little better. So this is the capacitor we're working with right here. You can see both sides short to ground, so I'm going to replace this chip and see if that fixes it. Normally, removing this chip and putting a new one on will fix this sort of a short.
Did you done?
I did.
Let me finish this side and we'll take a try.
I'm not doing that. They started to make that boy started and sitting there.
Too much of sun?
We have the charge chip replaced. Now, I do want to mention I usually replace these if I go to bed or replace them with the motherboard in
Yeah, I never use
the
them.
switch. And how I do that is just put several layers of Kapton tape over this part. This is where the heat could get and cause problems melting the plastic or the charge port or any of these chips. This piece right here is actually a small piece of metal, so that actually blocks most of the heat from the battery. You can see there's a little bit melted here, but really no big deal. So that's how you can actually change this chip while it's still in the
Some people starting it
rest
easy.
of the case.
One pull in
Now
the
we can
start.
test that capacitor near that chip and see if it's still shorted. And if it's not, then we'll plug it in and see if it charges normally. Okay,
Thank you, Paul.
plug here.
Hey, put that 10
We got
W30.
one probe on ground.
40.
40.
So we got a beep there. And no beep on that side. That is great news. So
It's a make up a thing for that, you know.
Wow.
And then let's plug it
Tool
in.
like
and
that fit over there
see
and
if
that's
it'll charge.
all two going the same time.
Put the battery back in.
We have a
Plug
tool,
it
but
back in.
this is a chocolate, so
And
we
here
have
we
here.
go.
You don't have it,
Oh, there we go. 0.36. 0.32. Flip it over and see if there's anything on the screen.
I think you got
Yeah,
start
there
those
we
up push
go.
ups and things number.
Red charge symbol.
We're back
Oh,
on
there
muscle
we go.
crew.
Looks like number 6 is also fixed. Now we'll have to make sure it charges fully, and then I'll have to test all the functions to make sure they all work. But so far, it looks like number 6 is fixed. Let's move on to number 7. All right, and here we are with number 7. Oh, that one just goes blank. As soon as I plug it in, that means the charge port is likely bad. Looks like it's pretty hard to tell on camera, but the charge port is definitely bad. It's got some bent pins in there. So I'm going to get it apart, replace the charge port, and then we'll test it and see if everything's working. A lot of times when the charge port goes bad, it also causes another chip to go bad. So hopefully there's no other problems, but once we get it replaced, we can test it and check that out. So I didn't actually record replacing the port itself, but I'll put a link up on your screen if you want to see a video of me replacing the port, so then you can see how I do it. Now that it's replaced though, I'm going to plug in a known good battery and see if it'll charge and see what amperage it charges at. But before I do that, I need to test the capacitors around the charge chip and the video chip and see if there's any shorts there. So let's check for a short here. No short. No short. No short. Okay, those all look good.
Do we fix them there?
Those all look good. Good.
No way to walk.
Coil looks good.
You hit pass me up on the money in there.
Hmm?
And the man that gave me, you know,
Those, since we don't see any
the man
shorts,
that gave me a restaurant or something.
go with our
The man tell me
good
come back and
battery.
check it.
And with that installed,
Do
we
we
get
just
that
get a deal?
charging.
I thought I had to put up money.
Slow charge.
Yeah?
I thought,
See if it goes to
Yeah,
zero,
put up
and
money.
then goes to 1.3 or so. 1.8.
and then the
Okay,
part he
that's fine.
didn't give me a
Good news on
restaurant.
that one. We
I
got
don't know if I would have made
slow
money there.
charging, we got fast charging, no capacitors
Okay.
imported, so I'm gonna put it all back together and see if it works. Any of you who watch closely probably noticed that I forgot to fill in
I know how to get my
these
work.
two mounting pins right here with solder, so I will do that off camera after I get it all back together and test it. But for now, let's
If
get
we
it
give
back
them something,
together,
if we
see
give
if
something.
it works, and then we can fill those in the solder later.
I said it. But I went back too late. He said, man, I thought they told come back to me. What do you want to do? I'm still flex, so I said we take them with it. I said, man, I don't know if I man is no summer.
I could tell you deal.
Huh?
You want me to tell you deal?
He ain't there. I don't know if he is.
We play smooth.
Somebody get the place. Oh, you know, Center Street there.
The location.
The location there on the park, you know.
And the delivery.
I met your stuff. Yeah, guys.
I know we
Free
did
to
show
take them
first
to
and
the
last
restaurant.
time,
I
so
could
we gotta get the
mix
charges
stuff
up
and then
fully,
sell it to the
but it looks
restaurant.
like number
But you know,
7 is working, as with all of the other.
like, Rocky, if you next summer.
Everything and make sure.
I
it's
get it, man.
totally working. I normally do that off camera because I was
I know the man sitting in the
video,
audience,
and
and people
also
try that.
testing consoles, testing
Yeah, I want to remember time
function,
I
and make sure it's all working. So I do that off camera and just show them
Go up for your next year.
on camera.
Every
Here
time
we
you
go
go to a
with
restaurant,
number
it's like,
8. Let's
listen
plug
to
it in and
oh,
see
every
what
time you go to a
happens.
restaurant, it goes on.
The same one?
There we go. We have slow charging. Oh, it's got a
Every
charging
time?
symbol on the screen.
That's all I can say. I see the cooking on one day, so
Okay, it looks like it's fast charging and
thing there,
it's charging
so it goes down.
Great news so far.
I said, wait a minute, everything this one.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay, this is great news. Let's see
21
if it'll read a game card.
21. I'm looking.
It
I'm
reads
supposed
the
to
game
guess
card. It reads the game card. Okay.
Every restaurant I said I might work at, it goes on.
Connect the controller.
Something wrong with it.
Yeah, everything on number
I
8
know,
looks
man.
good. I'm going to test a few more things. I'm going to connect the
The new
internet.
suggestion by
Works.
the IT
So
by
far, number 8 is fully
How come
working.
my phone so
And
easy
it's
there?
connected to the
And I
internet.
fight him with that.
There's only a few more
It's
things
not
I need to
connected.
test on number 8, but it looks
The
like
way,
number 8 is fixed.
that thing you're working there, so by
So I'll put it in the test more file so we can fully test it off camera, and if there's
Walmart,
any
they have
issues, I'll
Marble
show
there?
it on camera so you guys
you know
can
how
see.
restaurant
But
over the other
let's
side
move
there
on
by
to number 9.
gas station.
Here we
see
go.
there,
Number
see that over
9,
there?
we're going to inspect the charge
You
port,
saw it?
and
Huh?
it looks
Over the other
fine
side,
from
yeah.
what I can
Man,
tell.
yeah, and yes, so.
Let's plug it in and see the charge.
And then make a barbecue sauce. Until the church,
Okay,
and then
so
man,
we
put
do
up
have
barbecue sauce.
normal charging,
If we
but
get it.
nothing on the screen. Now the ones that show normal
I just
charging,
make my own
but
to get
nothing
it,
on
so.
the screen usually are fixable. We'll take this one apart and test all the capacitors around the chip, see if
You
there's
had
any
some on
problems
there.
there. Usually it's not fixable, sometimes it's a video chip. So
Barbecue
let's
sauce.
check that and see if we can fix number 9. Uh-oh, look what I found. It looks like we got some
Oh, Steve,
evidence
what has some
of
on there?
liquid
You
damage.
got a murder, man.
Hopefully not, but it has not looked good so far. We for sure have liquid damage. You can see already this
If
on
we use
this
this one, use
connector right
this one.
here. It's all corroded, and it looks like it's probably going to be pretty bad liquid damage. We got evidence of liquid
Okay,
here.
yeah.
Probably not just all in one place. It looks like maybe it's
You know,
throughout
I need to
the
pay you
entire
big, don't worry, sir.
board. So I'm going to take this back plate
You wanna
off.
see?
and
You ain't got
we'll see
anything
how
there to
bad it is.
put it up.
All right, are you
Yeah.
ready? I don't know
Yeah.
how to do this. Here we go.
You better start of the day, other day.
All
We don't
right.
have time for that.
so-
We just do it again.
Now there's a liquid here.
Don't use too much tools and see that you don't have to do. You don't use tools too much.
Here, over here. Actually, it looks like I wonder if somebody cleaned some of this off. Kind of hard to tell.
Don't use too much tools again.
But we definitely have quite a bit of liquid
we
damage
actually will
going
come out.
on. These ribbon
This
cables
way.
probably are
So
not
go
good.
ahead.
But really, to know for sure, I'm gonna have to tear the rest of it down. So
When you
I'll
do
let you
them-
out and we'll take the motherboard
Yeah,
out and
here.
have a real good look at it. And number 9 gonna be the first non-fixable one. That's really critical. It is not fixable.
I do them job here sometimes. I don't need
Okay,
tools.
let's see how bad the other side is.
Get rid of it.
Stop.
It's just corrosion all over this thing.
You can even raise this roof and put the thing in here.
Everywhere. I'm gonna take a look at this
You
under
can
my
just use-
microscope, see how bad it looks,
You
and
have
then
no
if
problem
nothing
with
else, we'll just clean it up with the toothbrush and some IPA and see what happens.
And then just pull the other way. Try again, man.
I ain't back at that, I heard him again. No come out. No come out. Yeah, no come out.
No, I want to see something like that.
Let's looking under my microscope, I found there's
Both.
a lot of fairly corroded
Yeah, so-
parts of it. It's something that probably could
Well,
be
but
fixed.
we have
And
to
there's a
keep
good
them
chance
here.
I could get it working.
I could buy
Problem
boot for
with
this,
a board
rebuild
like
them
this,
here
it
and
looks like it's been
sand them down,
sitting there
spin them up.
with all this corrosion on the board. So there's a lot of parts that are still being corroded and still breaking down. So the problem with a board like this is I could fix it, but over time these parts are likely to keep corroding. Even after I've cleaned them fully, a lot of them are so far gone that they could keep corroding and break in the future. So this is not one that I would normally repair and resell just because there's a good chance it's going to break in the future. So I'm not going to be reselling this one, but I will plug a battery in and we can test it and see if it looks like it is working.
You know, some of my charger fixing these.
Board and from all the versions that I could see.
What part of charger is fixing?
Looks like it will work. And unfortunately, this front case with the
You
LCD.
can Google it and see.
This
How much
one
for?
has the same fate as the other one with the
So
liquid
that could be
damage.
cool, yeah.
That is the backlight ribbon cable. There's a trace that's broken, so unfortunately this will not be one we can use unless we replace the digitizer. And I normally so that's usually what I keep these for. So unfortunately, looks like number 9 is not going to be fixable. I knew we would have to find one of these at some point, and number 9 is the one. I'm going to check the motherboard now, though, and see if it looks like it doesn't work normally. Let's check the capacitors around these chips first.
We'll close the door.
Yeah, come in. Where's it got before?
She gonna start the door herself.
I will take a pull out of just now.
So we do have this one capacitor shorted over here. And then since the rest of it is corroded, we're not going to take this one any further. So in this lot of 20 Nintendo Switches, we only have one so far that's confirmed not fixable, and that's number 9. Let's move on to number 10. First things first on this one, the port is really bad, so we got to change this port first, and then we'll come back and test it some more. Now as USB-C port replaced, let's check the capacitor on the chip.
You gonna watch your Red Bull again?
No.
Let's check video chip first. Oh no, we got a short on the video chip, which means most likely this charge chip capacitor will have a short as well.
Red Bull now.
And it does. If this capacitor is shorted,
Yeah, yeah.
then we'll test this one. If this one's shorted,
No, it
we'll
ain't
replace
going yet.
this chip. Alright, video chip's been replaced. Let's check.
You had one of the same tool that you can tap on here and push it in?
It is. Oh no. Normally when that capacitor is shorted, it's just a video chip, but sometimes it can be other things. In this case, it's most likely the charge chip, so now I can replace that. You guys are lucky, you just get to watch all this and then it's done. So back to the microscope to replace the charge chip.
Let's see if any. They going in now?
No, I put this on first just in case I hit it and everything. It can't go on.
Oh.
Well, that one was what I found. So originally I noticed that this capacitor was shorted. And so normally that's caused by a faulty video chip. Now obviously I replaced the video chip and the short was still there. So sometimes this charge chip can cause that. Not often, but sometimes. So I removed the charge chip and found that
Can't go in there.
short was still there. So now with the charge chip off and the video chip off, we know that neither of those can be causing that problem. So the next thing I did was test
Go on
these
in.
capacitors down here. And what I found
She going in
was
now.
also a short on these capacitors. The bad news about these capacitors is I've never found the fix when these capacitors.
What is that?
I found
I could be relaxed, so.
likely it's
I could be relaxed and sell it for 150.
right here, under the shield right here.
No, the boot.
Unfortunately, number 9 is not going to be fixed.
I got out of 2 boot,
There is quite
change that, grease it up and spray it over and clean it back up. And put new grease and band it back. It good. Cause if them actually is $180, $200,
LCD to check the number 6, I think, the number 6 motherboard, see if that motherboard works. So let's do that next and see if we got that one working. And while I was up there soldering that one, I also soldered the mounting pins on this USB-C port on whatever number this one is that needed it. So that was done, so I get that one back together, and then we'll be able to check the number 6 motherboard in this project. So here we have number 6.
Man, you know my glass crack?
Part 1,
Yeah.
number 6, we had a
My glass
little
crack.
bit of damage.
Windshield?
That was fixable,
Oh.
I think.
And I don't drive close my vehicles, you know. And you're there, bam! Walk with a big hole in it.
Well, that was it sometimes.
It take crack from there, huh?
I also
It crack from down.
the serial
I don't know how that
number.
managed.
If the owner ever needs to, for example, leave
Crack big?
control,
Man, it go right
they're
across.
gonna need to have the serial number
Yeah, you
for
bought
the
'em.
motherboard. So I always keep the right serial number with the correct motherboard.
We're going to change it.
Not no.
So we are now halfway through. I tried to fix 10, I fixed 8, 8 out of 10 is not bad. Plug in our USB charger. We get just 0.7. So I'm going to venture to say this is the charge chip. Usually when it's a 0.07, 0.08, 0.09 in that range, usually it's just a charge chip. So let's get it taken apart and find out. Here we go with number 11. Hopefully there's no liquid damage. And it looks good so far. There.
That's a lot of shit. They're hoping there's some money.
Probably the charge.
I remember they had bad news stuff there. Yeah, I'll fix it. Let's say a charger.
If we can rebuild that.
Huh?
I can rebuild that, clean it up nicely, spray it in black, change the boot in, band it back, grease it back, and then the bearings them, and just thing it.
That fixed the problem. Let's test it now.
Next time the charger fixes my car.
Okay, we have no short.
Oh shit. I got King Home to sell it.
7, 3, 2, 3, 1. And we have.
Oh my god, still not even starting,
So
still.
number 11 was an easy fix, at least so far. You have to charge it and test it, but so far it looks great. So let's move on to number 12. So number 12 is not in good shape. Charge port, charge 12. Charge port might be bad. Let's plug it in and see what it does. The charger in the machine as well. But nothing on the screen at all.
Hope fix more blood
Let's
than
take it
charger.
apart and see what's going on. Alright, here we go. Don't see liquid damage, that's the good news. Disconnect the battery and test the capacitors. I feel like at this point you guys are probably about as much of an expert as I am. Those are pretty much just say the same thing.
This is simple fix really.
There we go.
Surgery.
Okay, we just have a problem there. So, you guys know what the probable cause of this is. Probably the video chip on the other side, right? And let's test the capacitor near the video chip. Yep, well, the good news there is the capacitor, we're not running, but you need to move it on. So now I'm going to plug in another battery, and then we'll plug the charger in and see if everything looks normal. So, here's the battery we know is good. Charger. Let's see what happens. 4-0. So far, let's see. It goes to 0 and back to fast charging. It does so far. And it does. Okay, so this one actually looks like it's probably fixed. The one problem we have here is this. This is obviously probably not even good. The LCD is most likely broken. So I'm actually going to set this motherboard aside and we'll swap it into one of the other switches that we find a fault with the motherboard. If there are any more, because if not, well, most likely there will be. So let's move on to number 13. Here we are with number 13. The port looks good from what I can tell. So let's plug what the charger shows. 0. Nothing at all. All right, let's open up number 13 and see what's going on. All right, and here we go. So far, no liquid damage, which is good, and I already see the problem. So this guy right here, you can see is loose. Let me zoom in for you. So this is just a coil right here, and you can see it's loose. So let's do a continuity test. This will show you why it's not working. So we go here and here. There should be a beep, and there's no beep. That tells me that there's no connection here, that's obvious since it's so loose. So I'll take one of these from the other broken boards and replace it onto this one, and then we'll be able to test it and see if that's all it needs. Well, we've got this here. We might as well lift up on this a bit just so you can see what's underneath. There we go. So this little connection point connects right there, and when that breaks, then that just breaks that little connection. This sort of problem happens a lot, like when the console is dropped and stuff like that. Big impacts will knock that coil loose, and that's what causes it to come loose and break that connection.
It's gonna do a lot of work, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bricks probably will fabricate.
Huh?
They're gonna fit in.
Wanna bring it up?
Now we got that coil replaced. Let's check for continuity between each side. But for now, it looks like that might be the only problem. And unfortunately, I do need to end this video here as it is getting quite
You just fix a lot of things.
I'll put a link up on the screen for part 3 if you want to see the final 6 fixes and whether I think I'm going to actually make any money on this. So you can come and hang out with me over there. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day.
You know, fixing games. It's a good trade.
This video is sponsored by
When you going back
iFixit. I bought 13 broken PS5 to see if I could fix them because I'm an idiot and because I make bad decisions. But either way, it's time to see if I can fix them, and I'll be answering your questions along the way. But first, I need to test them and see what's going on.
Already, man?
So here we go with PS5 number 1. I first need to check the ports, see if there's anything wrong there, and everything here looks good. HDMI port's good, USB ports are good, so now I'm going to plug it in and see if it turns on and see if the disk drive works. And here we go with PS5 number 1. Let's see if it powers on. Okay, all good so far. Next, I'm going to test the disk drive, then we'll get it all set up and see if all the software works. All sounds good so far. And once again, so far everything's working fine. I have a disk inside installing Horizon Zero Dawn, and so far it's installing fine. I have it fully updated. I'm signed into PSN, so I know it's not blocked. So everything on PS5 number 1 is working fine. Which brings me to my first question that I get all the time. How is it that I buy salvage broken items and they end up working just fine? So I buy my salvage items from online liquidation websites. If you just type in liquidation websites in Google, you'll find a whole list of them, and that's where I buy my items. Now, the stuff that I usually buy has not been taken apart by anyone. It's just been tested, and for some reason, they've decided that it's faulty. Now, in some cases, and we'll see how many out of this lot are not broken at all, but in some cases, there's nothing actually wrong. Maybe they just thought there was something wrong, and there actually wasn't. Maybe they didn't even have time to test it. I don't really know why, but for some reason they put working items into salvage lots. Now that sounds great and all, but the problem with that from a buyer's perspective is the items are very expensive for things that are salvaged, because a lot of these PS5s are most likely going to be broken and take some repair. And the ones that take repair, I'm not going to have any parts for. A lot of them I might not even be able to fix because I have nowhere to get parts for them. How much did I pay for these PS5s? I'll get into that in just a minute. Right now, I'm going to finish testing PS5 number 1 and see if there's anything that ends up being wrong. So while this game is installing on PS5 number 1, I'm actually going to start checking out PS5 number 2 and just let this one install.
Yellow one.
And I already see what's wrong with PS5 number 2. We got a bad HDMI port. That one's easy to figure out. Let's move on to PS5 number 3. And the port on PS5 number 3 looks fine, so I'm going to plug it in. See what it does. PS5 number 1 is still installing the game, and I'm getting the update installed on PS5 number 3. And PlayStation number 3 is all set up. Let's test the disk drive here.
Man, I said, well,
takes it in.
I'm moving my watch for $25. Oh my God, I see the silver blower.
And it shows up on the screen.
Ain't no nothing wrong with it, stomach.
Test it out. Then we'll check out number 1 and see if we can play the game. So another question I want to answer is why I would do this. And my simple answer is I believe in repair, and I enjoy repair, and I enjoy making videos for you guys to watch. I think that it's way better to fix the things we have rather than go out and just buy new stuff and throw the old stuff away. That's ultimately why I started this channel and why I buy stuff like this, even though on paper sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense. On this particular lot, I think it makes a lot of sense because I think I will still make money, even though some of these are going to be broken and I'm going to have to try and fix them, and probably some of them won't be fixable at all. So it looks like this one's all ready to try. I did install a small game onto this one because I don't want to install huge games on all of them because that will take quite a while. So I'm going to test it on a smaller game. So number 3 seems to work perfectly. I see no problems at all. Now, obviously, I have to test this long term, and I don't plan on testing each one of these long term. That would take hours and hours and hours. So instead, what I'm going to do is when I list these for sale, I'm just going to say that I haven't tested these long term. I'll list out the things I know about it and the things I don't know about it. That way, the buyer knows exactly what's been tested and what hasn't, and then they can spend accordingly. Now that I'm done testing this one, I'm going to get it reset to factory settings so it's all ready for the new owner. It sounds like number 1 is done installing, so let's check the game on number 1. Okay, we do have a problem with number 1. It just freezes on the game, and there's no inputs, like the controller just can't do anything with the controller, and it's just stuck on the screen. See what happens if I take the disc out. Okay, the disc is coming out. Oh, here we go. Something went wrong with this game or app. So I'm going to save number 1 for later. We'll try and install a different game. Right now, let's move on to number 4. While the software is updating on number 4, let's talk about price. I paid $550 for each of these PlayStation 5s, and they don't even come with a controller. That's what I was talking about prices being high for this type of merchandise, because even though there are some that are broken, and probably a lot of them, there will be some of these that aren't broken at all. And like I said, the other advantage is these have not been taken apart in most cases, unless they were taken apart by the person that bought it. In most cases, these haven't been taken apart by a repair person, and repairs have not been attempted. So because of those things, prices are super high.
Probably when it now come out, that's probably the old video like 5 years ago.
A lot of them are actually.
Remember when they come 5 years ago, they're like $1,000,
Where can they buy one from?
So you buy it for half price.
That here in just a minute. This one's almost updated, so let's finish testing it.
You still make money, because if you sell one, you can sell one.
And PS5 number 4 also seems to be working great, so I'm going to get it reset and then start on PS5 number 5. So number 5 is still installing the disc. PS5 number 6 has kind of like it's kind of like glitching. The display will just blink for just a second at a time. Not really doing it right now. It could be just a dirty HDMI port, so I'll clean that out while I'm testing it, but number 6 could be a problem. So number 5 is also working fine. I see no problems with it, so let's move on and keep testing PS5 number 6. So now you can see PS5 number 6 is having some major graphical issues. I think this is probably a major problem. I'm guessing it's probably even a GPU issue. I'm going to put a game in and see if it gets worse or see if it stays the same. And now the screen has totally blacked out. It's got report a problem, but you can't even read it. So I think this is probably bad news for PS5 number 6. Let's move on to PS5 number 7. Actually turn all the way on, so I'm going to be looking at that one later. Number 7 should be almost done installing the disc, so we can test the game on that one and see if it's fully working. And number 7 is also having a problem with the game or app, so I'll be taking a look at that one later. Let's take a look at PS5 number 9.
You go buy them cheap like
And we have
$150 and fix them.
one that's freezing when I'm trying to play the game. So PS5 number 10 is doing that same thing that the other two PS5s are doing. So we'll take a look at that later. Let's move on to PS5 number 11.
How much you pay for that 5 on cheese?
Maybe so.
We also have major graphics problems. You can see there's little artifacts showing up on the screen, but nothing on the screen other than this black screen. So number 12 is going to need some work. Number 11, I'm just testing a game. So let's get to the last one, number 13. And here we have number 13. This is already loose. It's already missing some screws. I'm going to turn it on and see what it does. Okay, number 13 will beep once, but it doesn't actually power on. Number 11 over here all seems to be working normally. Number 13 definitely needs some work. Let's take a look at the numbers and see how many already work and how many we need to repair. So out of these 13 PS5s that I have, 4 of them already work fine, and the rest of these have various issues. I think the first one I'm going to tackle is the one where it shows that something went wrong with the game or app, because that's a problem with 3 of these PS5s. Now I know you're probably wondering, where am I going to be selling these? Well, as of the publishing date of this video, I've already sold several to my channel members and my patrons over on Patreon, and also for my one or two up on eBay, just to see how they do on eBay. Now, let's start the repairs. So let's start the repairs. Number 7 and number 10. I did notice that I have no problems. Figure out a fix. First thing I'm going to try and do is the second time. That'll bring up safe mode, then I'll rebuild the database and test it again. Now while PS5 number 1 is installing the game again, let's move on to PS5 number 7 that has a very similar problem.
Fix it?
Okay, PS5 number 7 is done reinstalling the game. So let's try one. Let me update file and then see if that'll help. Oh, that didn't take long. The game fully updated, and before it even started, it gave me this same error. So the next thing I'm going to try is starting this game with the Wi-Fi turned off. Okay, still gives me the error. Let's go back to PS5 number 1 and see if that one will work now.
Maybe huh?
It'll be 30.
Huh?
No. We didn't even get to the same spot it
I
was
from the
last
back
time.
again.
So
No,
it
when
looks
it's all
like PS5 number 1,
4 o'clock.
PS5 number 7, and PS5 number 10 all have the same problem, and as of right now, I know nothing that can fix it. It's a software issue somewhere in the software of the PS5. I'm going to put these aside and either do another video on them, or probably will take a look at them off camera a little bit, and I will update you if I find a fix for them. But for now, let's move on to the next PS5.
What PS5 you buy for 13? 500 piece?
Straightforward and easy repair, but you never know. Let's open it up and find out. I'll be using the iFixit Manta Precision bit set. It's got all of these bits and the key drivers. One of my favorite things about this set is the driver. This works great for screws that are really in tight. I also love that iFixit bits, at least most of them, come with magnets right on the top and bottom case, so they just snap together. You can also use this top case as a screw tray. The Manta Precision bit set has pretty much any bit that you're going to need to get into any device. I always love having the tool on
Charlie man
when
passed
I
up
need
to
it, as that makes repair
$1,000.
much faster. To disassemble this PS5, I'm going to start out with
Axle and brakes and man, see what the best quality.
Wow, there's already some dust built up into this PS5. So it's going to take this apart. It looks like it can already use a good cleaning.
The man that come with the stereo yesterday and that's wrong like this, like yours. He say what stereo? I see the stereo like $200.
Is that?
So you can bring it next week.
So what you gonna sell me?
No, he can buy one online. I don't know if mine don't working. I doubt it working because I took it up the power and it come on and it stop. You can't sell something, you ain't sure if it working bigger. You want to come back to me and say it working? Unless you want to buy it as it is.
We have $6,500 for $50.
So you can see we've got already a decent amount of dust buildup right in here. So this is just a reminder, make sure that your PS5 is off the floor and in a very well ventilated area.
You want to buy it as it is?
Around as little air and
And just
dust as
if
you
it didn't work, it didn't work.
And also these heat sinks right here are also starting to get plugged up with dust. This is one of the main things that will cause overheating, so it's super important to make sure.
Alright guys, thank you guys for watching. We're gonna start next live soon. I'm out.
Now we can get the motherboard loose.